everybody. Welcome to session 2 of our Urban Shadows campaign. None of us, well, I don't know. Are we allowed to say we've never actually played Urban Shadows? Because I think the last time we only did one roll the whole session. So I
We
don't.
did.
Yeah.
We set up some story. We haven't played too much Urban Shadows yet. So that is the goal for today. I am going to be the good little um, Urban Shadows MC and ask for rolls of things. I do have the basic moves open in front of me so that as you are doing things, it might prompt me to ask you to do these rolls. That's kind of how it should work. But if you have specific roles for your archetype that you think would fit, um, I'm again just not as familiar. So if you guys are bring that up, like, hey, do you think this would be a good time to roll? Um, I don't know, whatever your role is, you can ask. Panic at the Disco, whatever your special treats are. Uh,
Perfect.
so let's do the true and proper way to start an Urban Shadow session, right? So we are going to do each person. We're going to see who they trust least out of the other player characters, and you have all at least met up, right? You all have seen each other's faces. You all kind of know each other, although some of you better than others.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, let's do that. Who wants to go first? And maybe just do a super quick, this is who my character is, as we're doing that too.
All right. Are we still at the restaurant?
No, actually, we are gonna. That's a great point. So we're actually jumping. And
Okay.
let me give you a little bit of background. So the idea was to set up that historical moment, right? Um, of the world famous. Everybody learns about this in their civics class around the planet, no doubt. That Buddy C. Yancey became mayor of Providence, Rhode Island, in 1974. Uh, and won by a whopping 709 votes. Can you guys imagine an election where the votes are really close? I can't. I don't know if that has any bearing. Um, in our Providence, Rhode Island, for this Urban Shadows campaign, that means for the first time in at least 100 years now, there is a human in charge of the city. Right? It had been different power factions, but at this point, there is a human in charge of the city, and in the past couple months, he has been putting into power in different governmental seats, particularly in terms of the police force, other humans, which sounds like a normal thing. But when you have, say, Raymond Patriarcha, the vampire crime boss of New England, uh, based out of Providence, having rather well known um, vampire hunters placed in prominent police positions, as you've seen happening, um, is sure to start. The technical term, I think, is some shit. Uh, And other than that, there's been a lot of, and this is my thought here, is there's kind of been a lot more withdrawing into your tribes, right? Kind of like everyone's kind of like hunkered down, going about their business in their place. And I know that all of you got like a task thing. You all kind of got like a mission at the end of the last, or by the end of the first session, right? And my thought is, because some of those could have been done rather quickly, right? But like with the turmoil in the city, you guys kind of were like, "Oh shit, let me just kind of do my thing for a while." And now it's at the point, it's kind of like mid-February is my thought at this point, and things are starting to kind of settle down into the new normal for the city, right? as much as settling down happens here, but at least people are trying to, go about their business in a bit of a more normal way now. So that's kind of what's happened between the last session when you were in La Fortuna, the restaurant over on Fed Hill. Um, though not, not where the good restaurants are. It's a little ways back. It's not, and now, so whoever wants to go first, why don't you tell us again quickly who your character is? Tell us what their job was to remind it. Like it's been 2 weeks since we played, right? Like what was their mission? And then who do you trust least?
My name is Yvette Montoya. I am a tainted. Um, my job is to find an item of power. Um, and it's tough to say because I'm not a very trusting person. The only one I really know is Victor, and I definitely don't trust him. But I think I'm gonna say that Victor is probably the person I trust the least, just because I know he's a little shady, and the other guys seem okay to me. So
All right, so you trust Victor the least,
yeah.
and I'm trying to remember because I don't, and I'm trying to look it up. And usually that's my forte, y'all, but I'm not finding it so quickly. Uh, Somebody owes someone a debt based on that, but I don't know if you owe them or they owe you. So I'll
So
try.
that owes me for living in my territory, benefiting from my
No,
protection.
no, no, no. At the beginning of every session, when we do this, who do you trust least? More debts come into play immediately based
Oh,
on that.
see.
But I don't know what they are, so just keep in mind who trusts who least. And once I find that, I'll be very happy to share that with you all. All right, so that is Yvette. And what was your mission, Yvette?
Find an item of power.
Okay.
Very nondescript.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a vague one.
Your patron was a little vague on that. Uh, why don't we go with Jasper next?
Hello, I'm Jasper. I am a ghost, or a specter more specifically. Um, I guess who I trust the least is probably Muhammad,
Okay.
because and that kind of ties into my mission currently, because I am to retrieve a book for him,
Mm-hmm.
but he hasn't told me anything about this book or any
Right.
specific. All I know is that it's locked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he kind of gave you like the reference number on how to go find it.
Right.
Okay. What about I'm trying to get used to everyone's names too. Let's go with Victor.
Hello, friends. Victor Volkov, friendly neighborhood wolf. So, unlike Yvette, I actually have a lot of trust for Yvette. Very good customer, pays generally on time, rarely forgets. So, she's all good in my book. And Jasper, his sister lives in my territory. So, he's got, vested interests in the benefit of our two city blocks here. However,
Can't thank
merit
you
here.
for that.
Yeah, merit here is not very trustworthy in my book so far. Very shady, knows a little bit too much about nooks and crannies and how to get from A to B in my territory that maybe even I don't know about.
Okay. And then to round it off, we have, uh, and then you said what your mission was, right?
Sorry, my mission is to collect a bone for my good friend Mohammed. He needs a large bone, maybe femur, so perhaps we visit more.
Okay. And Ekphrasia.
Yeah. Uh, I don't really know what my mission is. Did I receive one last week?
I thought that you did, and we said it. I think at the end of the session. I don't rightfully remember what it was. I think it had something to do with just access to tunnels or something.
Yeah, I don't remember that. But, all right. So, what I am investigating is a strange occurrence in the sewers that I saw something not of this world that disturbed me greatly.
I think that might have been what it is just kind of investigating more what was happening.
Sure. And I don't really trust Yvette at all because I know her brother,
Yeah.
and I don't know. So I guess that would be mine.
Okay. I still can't find what the fuck we're supposed to do. Oh, okay. I found it! At the beginning of every session, announce which character your character trusts the least. Their player will spotlight a faction for your character that isn't already marked. And none of you have any factions marked so far. Mark that
No.
faction. So, Ekphrasia, you trust Yvette the least. Yvette, you get to decide what faction Ekphrasia can mark.
What is the purpose of this mark?
Great question. See, this is dear viewer. This is the tutorial portion of Urban Shadows. Once you mark all 4 factions, you level up. That is the only way to level up.
Okay, so I just pick any faction.
Well, let me see. Mark that. Tell the. Yeah, you pick. And then you tell me. Tell me. Okay. At the beginning of every session, announce which character your character trusts the least. Their player will spotlight a faction for your character that isn't already marked. So you will tell Ekphrasia what faction. Ekphrasia will mark that faction. And then Ekphrasia's player, also known as Mike sometimes, will tell me a rumor or conflict that they've heard about that faction, building on previously established information if you'd like, and roll with the faction.
Okay, so is this a public knowledge sort of thing for the player characters, or is this?
So let's really play it out. So really, you just tell any faction.
Okay, heart.
Not a faction.
No, that's a
Try again.
stat. So the factions,
Oh,
I
you
love
mean like
this.
power? You mean like power?
Power,
Knight?
Knight, Weird,
Gotcha.
and
Nope.
fucking
Try again.
Okay.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Sorry.
All right, so I see it. All right, Knight.
Okay, so now based on kind of what we did first session, or whatever, tell us something that you've heard about Knight that's been going on recently.
Me? Oh.
Or me?
Ekphrasia, yeah.
Oh, those Italians always dropping bodies in my sewers. Saw the other day one of the capos of old Patriarcha, and there's a little bit of heat on that body.
Now, Ekphrasia, roll with that faction. So you're gonna roll with Knight.
Okay, so what does that mean? I don't have anything for that. I just rolled 2d6.
Yeah, if plus 0, you're just rolling 2d6.
11.
Oh, on a 10 plus, you're prepared for that conflict you laid out. You've got a debt on someone in that faction, or a useful piece of information or equipment. Your choice.
I'll pull a debt on somebody in the
Sure.
Patriarch
Yeah,
organization.
take a debt. Take a debt on who was your boss, Victor? What's his name?
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. Take a debt on Giuseppe.
I don't know how to spell that.
Correctly.
It's spelled like it sounds. Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. Okay. And I'm gonna write that's not spelled correctly. I'm gonna write it's for hot bod.
Yeah, you had a hot bod, right? You know that he's the one dumping these, and you're kind of like taking care of it, right? But you get a debt out of that. Okay. Victor, you trust who the least?
I trust Merit the least. Ecphrasia.
Okay. Ekphrasia, highlight a faction for Victor.
I'm gonna go with. Oh, I forgot what faction. I forgot. Is he knight?
I am.
He is knight, yeah.
I want to choose knight. I'm gonna go with wild.
Okay.
Perfect.
What have you, and that's really cool with what happened with you last session, I
Exactly.
think. What have you been hearing about Wild? And I think I gave you guys a little bit of like off-air info about the Wild faction in particular.
So at the during the last session, I ran into a hot dog vendor who was not supposed to be in my territory, having paid no dues, and had a bit of an altercation with this individual. And I think I later found out that he is part of a trend, an unfortunate trend that's starting in my territory, where Fey folks are trying to move in and start this business.
All over the
A hot
city,
dog
really.
business.
And since you since the happenings of the last session, right? Since you kind of won that altercation, they haven't really been on your couple blocks so much.
Good.
But they are popping up across the city. They've even got a couple different storefront locations. One over on Smith Street and one over in Olneyville, where they're selling these hot wieners, as they're calling them. And then there's some hot dog carts going throughout the city as well.
Exactly. So I got to defend the land from these fools, unless they're planning on paying up. So we could
Sure.
strike a business deal, or we could have a bit of a war.
So make sure you mark. I almost said weird again. Strange, wild.
Yeah.
That's the one. Mark wild, and then roll with wild.
All right. So, and I got a +1 with wild for my
Okay.
stats. 11
Damn.
again.
11. Yeah. So you're prepared for this conflict. You either have a debt on someone, or a useful piece of information. Your choice.
I will take a useful piece of info to try to find out one of the important bigwigs in this faction who is trying to move in and expand their business.
Okay. So as far as wild, as you can imagine, in me, as I really try to like create this city, right? Like we're creating it together, but I'm doing some behind the scenes stuff. Wild is a little bit more wild in what I'm setting up, since their big infrastructure is a hot dog business. So what is the name of the wild dude that you know about? And then I'll tell. If you can give me a name, I'll give you a piece of information.
I think it's got to be like Esmeraldo or some crazy name like that.
Okay, Esmeraldo. Esmeraldo is a big, beefy, hairy guy that tends not to wear a shirt, but just like a Kiss the Cook apron, right? As he's getting these orders. He's over at the Smith Street location, slinging the wieners over there, and he's not the highest boss you can take in whatever's going on, but he does seem to be the highest ranking in the city.
Good to know.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you. I can't call you Austin. I gotta call you Jasper. Jasper. I'm gonna ask you, Jasper, to choose one of the player characters that you trust the least, rather than an NPC. Only because I don't want to highlight a faction. I want these guys to do my work for me.
Okay. I'll probably go with Ecphrasia.
Okay.
He seems to be working with Muhammad.
Yes, makes sense.
Okay.
All right, so I spotlight if I mark one of the factions.
Nope, you're not. You're just gonna spotlight a faction for.
Oh, right.
For them.
I'll spotlight mortality.
All right. So mark mortality, Jasper, and then tell us something you've heard about mortality.
Well, I can tell you they're not to be trusted. They're kind of sneaky in the city. They're up to something. Not as much as the Fae, but They're doing something. I, I don't trust the sewers. That's why I don't trust the Exprasia so much. the It's stinky down there. I don't like being down there.
Okay. Yeah, so you definitely know that um okay, the sewers. So do you want a useful piece of information or do you want a debt on someone in
Well, he
that
has to roll
section?
first.
Oh, that's right. I'm
Oh
sorry. That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. Roll with mortality. See, we're working together. This is cooperation, everybody.
Oh no, sorry. Hold on. And subtract 1, so I got an 8.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, you're neck deep in it. You owe someone in that faction a debt, and someone in that faction owes you a debt.
Okay.
Okay, so you owe someone in mortality a debt, and someone in mortality owes you a debt. So let's say
Do we know anyone in mortality or in the mortality faction?
you know one person, you know Ekphrasia, and
Oh, okay.
I think they are the only one that you do know so far. Uh,
Okay.
so I'm gonna say uh, the one that you owe a debt to, right,
Yeah.
is gonna be.
All right. I'm just checking my notes.
Give me a name.
Um, I'm gonna
A
say
female name. Give me a female name.
a female name. Uh, Cadence Black.
Okay, you owe Cadence a debt.
Okay.
Debt owed by.
I.
Oh, you gotta. If you guys can change your names at the bottom of the screen, like Andre did to say your character name, that would help me just honestly immensely. Um,
I don't know how to do that.
I think you have to go to like journal or something. I don't know either, but if you guys can figure it out, I'm just gonna keep
You
playing.
hit the gear,
What did I-
and there's a display name there.
Yeah, that's it. All right, I appreciate it, guys. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep using your real life names,
Sure.
and we're trying to escape from that right now. Okay, so you owe Cadence a debt. You owed Cadence like money, right? Like you were literally indebted to her when
Mhm.
you were alive, right? And you died still owing her a debt, right? Like a monetary debt, and now you just can't pay up, right? Um,
Right.
but she's fine with that because she has other uses for you because she's an oracle.
Okay.
So and I don't think you knew that when you were alive, right? But when you
Ah!
died, and fucker, I don't know what that was.
You took my my power rumor that I heard.
Oh, that's fine. Let's tie it all in,
Yeah,
everybody.
that's wow.
Let's tie it all in. Uh, tie in Cadence Black. So yeah, Cadence Black is over by the jewelry district of the city, separated from downtown by I 195. Right, it hasn't moved yet. My Rhode Island friends. And okay, yeah. So Jasper owes a debt there, and uh, who owes you a debt? I'm gonna say because I don't want to introduce another person. Ekphrasia, why do you owe Jasper a debt? You owe Jasper a debt for something.
I don't know. Do I know him? I'm not sure what the relationship would be there.
You met each other that one time. Um, Jasper's supposed to be doing something for your boy Muhammad. It's been a couple months. Maybe you owe Jasper a debt. Maybe Jasper, uh, maybe Jasper helped convince Muhammad to like hunker the fuck down during these turbulent times, whereas he's kind of sick of being in the like he kind of needs to, and you don't want Muhammad to literally get his head cut off, which is what he's pretty sure would actually happen. And Jasper helped to convince him, right? Like, no. Like, right, I'll get you that book, but there's no rush. You're better off waiting a couple months for that book than getting your head cut off today.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, where do I put that though?
You don't need to. Jasper's going to keep track of the debt that he is owed.
Okay.
Everyone, yeah. Because
Yeah,
if
so I give him good advice.
yeah, and I will just keep track of the debts owed to NPCs, and we'll do it that way. I think that's the best option. And then we're back to the beginning, and man, we're gonna be so much quicker at this next time when we actually know what to do. But Yvette, you trusted least.
No, Victor trusted me the least. Sorry,
Who did you trust the least?
I trusted Victor the least.
Okay, Victor,
Yeah.
highlight a faction for Yvette.
Let's go with power.
Okay.
Okay, so I heard the rumor that there was an oracle, a powerful oracle in my area. Her name is Cadence, and it is near my broken pearl.
But cadence is mortality, not power.
Well, oracle is
No,
power.
Oracle is power.
But what faction did he highlight? He highlighted power?
Power. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
But
So
wait, I
I
thought
did-
that was for mortality. That was a debt supposed to be for mortality, though.
Whose was? Oh, that's right.
Jasper's was for mortality.
You
Not
owe,
power.
yeah, you owe to Cadence's younger brother Enrique.
Okay.
There, that was an easy fix, right?
This rumor that I heard, I feel like Cadence can lead me to an item of power.
Yeah, I definitely think Cadence can probably lead you to an item of power. Roll with that faction. Roll with power. Oh, give me a miss, man. Give me a miss.
That's all
I
he wants.
love low rolls. I love them.
You
A
got it.
5. A 5 is a miss. On a miss, you're caught flat-footed, unprepared, or unaware. The MC will tell you who is coming for you.
Okay.
We're gonna start into the action, and I'm gonna hard frame something for Yvette with that. Right? Let's really get into it now. Yvette, you are walking around the jewelry district, right? Because you have heard of this oracle, right? You've heard of Cadence Black.
See.
Oh, we got a sub. Thank you so much for that sub. Much appreciated.
Yes.
So you are walking around, and as you are, you can't quite find it. You've heard it's kind of like a little hole in the wall kind of thing. You're unable to find it, and then you turn a corner. And as you do, walking in your direction are 2 police officers, right? Looking around left, right, as if they're looking for a fight. And as you turn, they stop and they look at you and then continue to walk a little more purposely in your direction. What do you do?
How far away are they?
They're, half a block away or so, but gaining on you pretty quickly as they're kind of quick stepping it in your direction.
Okay. Is there like an alleyway or a side street that I can turn down?
Okay. So if you want to, you're trying to just like get away from it entirely.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's. So I think you're. I'm gonna read this as you're kind of taking advantage of the fact that they're still a little ways away. You look around, and you're trying to escape that situation. So can you roll to escape the situation? Which is one of the basic moves. I'm assuming for
Boom.
basic moves you can just roll
Hell of a roll.
from your
Yeah,
Damn.
probably wasted it, but yeah.
Okay. Roll on a hit on a 10 plus. Choose one. So you're gonna choose one of the following things, right?
Sure.
You suffer harm. You end up in another dangerous situation. You leave something important behind. You owe someone a debt for your escape, or you give into your base nature and mark corruption.
I end up in another dangerous situation.
Okay. So you do. As you kind of like, oh shit, duck around into an alley and turn, you are able to get away, right? You're able to leave that behind. And then all of a sudden, turning, oh, how did I not notice that? You see, kind of in the corner of um, this little building, right, with this small little four-step walk up, a small sign hanging next to the door that says Cadence Black CPA.
I'll try the door quickly
Yeah.
and try and kind of squeeze in
Yep.
before being seen.
You open up the door, squeeze yourself in, and kind of as you walk in, the door closes, and you look around. It's dark in here, uh, and it does not look like a CPA's office. Uh, to be sure, right, there are plenty of bookshelves around, rather crammed full, right? Books there. Some are put backwards, so like the pages are facing forward, right? Like if you want a bookshelf to look nice, this isn't it. Some laid on top, kind of at an angle, things tossed around. There's a small round table in the middle with kind of like a black um, tablecloth with nothing on it, just two chairs, one on either side. Um, and as the door kind of closes behind you, surprising you a bit as you turn around and notice that there shouldn't be a hinge that would make the door automatically close. You do hear from the back, "Have a seat, Yvette." As coming through like the obligatory bead curtain in the back with that rain-like clatter. An old woman, right? Straggly gray hair, but barely any. Kind of comes around the pate of her neck, going straight down. Hunched over, wearing a very thick kind of cardigan. As she shuffles in, wearing slippers at that, in this office. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Hola, Senora Gray. How do you know my name?
I knew you were coming. Go ahead, sit there. I'll get things ready. As she hasn't even looked at you yet, but she's going through the bookshelves, and kind of like touching a whole bunch of books as if she's looking for something.
Do you need help?
Oh, I do need help, but not from you, I don't think.
That is kind of mean, but okay.
Sit down there. I'll be with you in a moment. And finally, like after like searching this bookshelf all over, just touching the books, she turns around, walks entirely across the room, uh, grabs a book off the shelf, and comes back and sits down. Boom. This big, heavy, leather-bound tome just plops in front of her. As she looks up at you for the first time, her eyes are red, black in the middle with a twisting vortex. As she's looking directly at you and says, "What exactly are you looking for?"
Hey, Dios mío, you scared me. I'm looking for an item of power. That's what I've been told.
Can you be a little more specific?
I wish I could.
It's hard to find things when you don't know what you're looking for, but...
Yes, I agree.
And she starts opening up the book, kind of looking through it. She says, "But then again, When you're looking for something, often you find other things anyway. And as she's flipping through this, her eyes are still staring at you. She hasn't blinked. She hasn't looked down at the pages. She's running her hands across it, almost as if reading Braille, though it is certainly words on the page, though from here you can't make it out in just the dim light. And she
Do I
says,
get the sense that she's blind?
well, whatever's going on with her eyes right now, she's not seeing through them.
Okay.
I mean, you don't know if she's doing something to do like that or if she's blind all the time, you know,
Right.
but there's definitely some weird shit going on right now. She says, "Where were you when the earth shook?"
La Fortuna restaurant.
The Chinese place.
No, it's that that shitty Italian place. It's not quite on the hill.
Sick
You
of,
know,
sick of Italian food.
they had decent garlic bread. That's about it.
Can't eat garlic. Gives me agita.
Mm.
That's not a place of power, Vet. That was your best opportunity.
I don't suppose it is. It's an unremarkable place. It's actually kind of a shithole.
Closes the book with a whoosh. Give me your hands.
I reach my hands out.
She grabs you quick and like pulls so that you get pulled against the table. Get it? Give me your hands. Not really though. And then she goes into like kind of doing palm reading where she's like almost doing what she did with the book, but running her fingertips as they're tickling across your palm. And she says, "You don't need to find an item of power.
Okay.
That's not your mission.
I don't understand.
The one that sent you on that task doesn't have your best interests at heart. In
See.
fact, I don't know who the fuck keeps voting for that guy. What you need to do is go back.
Go back where?
Before my time, you need to go back.
No comprendo.
And no item of power will do that for you.
Before your time, I don't even know how old you are.
I'm pretty fucking old. You need to go back, and only a place of power will let you do that. Not a shitty Italian restaurant.
I get it. It's called La Fortuna, and that's what you're giving me now.
Oh yeah! And as she laughed, all of a sudden, that swirling vortex that was her eyes just turned into eyes. Normal, as she kind of like belly chuckles and says, that'll be $40.
Ay, Dios mío. Can I pay you tomorrow?
Tomorrow? What is this? Layaway?
I'm good for it. You know what? Here's $10
10.
for now. Yes.
I want you to roll to persuade an NPC. That is okay that you pay her tomorrow.
Woof.
I love it.
Snake eyes.
Yeah, you have. I think on a miss with persuade an NPC, you just don't persuade that NPC. I'm gonna double check it to make sure there's not another like worse thing that happens. But honestly, this is probably one of the lower stakes things to get snake eyes on.
Okay.
On a hit and a 7 to 9, the modified. Yeah, she says, no, you need to pay now. If you don't have 40 on you,
I have it.
I could
Don't insult me. I have it. Okay.
take your hand instead.
I'll take it out and pay.
Okay. And now this is where I'm gonna kind of go back to your dangerous situation, right? That you put yourself into. So as you reach out, she grabs your hand, much like before, pulls you forward again. And then she pulls up her other hand and starts taking her nails and going across your wrist like this and says, it's been a while since I've had the right hand of a demon. It can be useful. And she looks you in the face and says, do you want to keep it?
See, yes, I do.
And she squints at you and says, then I want a compact. When you find the place of power that lets you go back, let me know where it is.
Fine, but why would you take my hand? I don't understand.
Oh, I would cut it off and then trade it to a wizard so they could use it for a spell.
Oh no, I understand that you would cut it off, but why would you do that? A wizard for a spell? What?
Well, they pay good money, more than $40. As she takes the money out of your hand and then like releases your hand.
You're kind of a bitch.
Oh, I'm more than kind of a bitch.
All right, fair enough.
Yvette,
Yes, Cadence.
make sure you close the door on your way out.
I'll fucking turn around and
Yeah.
slam it shut.
It says on a 7 to 9 they demand a debt.
On a 7 to 9, he got a 2.
Well, that would be worse then.
Demands a debt in order to be persuaded. Right,
Oh,
so
okay.
I think as a failure,
There's no mark as a failure? That's weird.
Yeah, no, a lot of the basic moves have kind of a nasty consequence, but I guess depending on
So
what
wait,
you're
it's
trying
worse to roll a 7 than it is to roll a 2.
So let me see. So if you roll
That's a weird thing to me.
on the 7 to 9, they modify the terms or demand a debt. So you can be like, give me a ride across town, right? And then on a 7 to 9, they'll be like, I'll do it, but only for a debt. You as the player can still say, nah, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like
Okay.
you still have the agency as a player to decide what you do there. On a miss, you just miss that persuade. It just hasn't
Gotcha.
happened.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that is Yvette. Let's we got 3 more. We got Ek Baby, we got Victor, we got Jasper.
So we haven't seen each other at all since we like saw each other months ago?
I don't know that you would have. Yeah, I
thought
think
we had like a mission. Didn't we have like a thing to do together?
No, I don't think so.
Didn't Muhammad ask that we like get him that book or something?
He
Or that
asked
Yeah, that's my job.
Yeah, he asked Jasper to get the book because Jasper's a specter and might be able to get in there. He asked Victor to get the bone. He hasn't asked you shit, but you know
Okay,
he's been
cool. I'm good with
stealing more of your nightshade, and trying to pretend like he's not doing it, even though there's no one else it could possibly be. And Yvette didn't have a job. from
So
him.
Sorry,
that
Mike.
bone request and the
I-
hot bod we mentioned earlier would have put me in contact with Merritt, most likely.
Yeah, so if we want to go to Victor, you definitely could. Now that the world's kind of opening back up, right? The quarantine of 1974 election is over. You might have reached back out to Merritt in order to get access to his tunnels if you're trying to get to the morgue. That makes sense to me.
Not a he.
They, sorry.
Thank you.
Yep, keep correcting me, please. Yeah, so is that what Victor's doing, reaching out to Merritt?
That sounds good.
Okay. And Merritt, would you have just been like, yeah, we can do that? Like, do we want to jump to you guys are in the sewers and you're leading him to where he has to go, or do we want to jump to a scene where we're kind of more negotiating what that would look like?
So I know I already owe Merritt, just so you in
You
case
owe
you
Merritt.
remember.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was the situation that you would want it? What you wanted to do?
So there are two paths I see to getting this bone. Basically, I can either get into the morgue somehow through some back access medical waste chute, or I
Okay.
can re-access one of the hot bods that you are aware of in the sewers.
No, I would agree to that. I don't think I'd make you like persuade me or anything. That sounds reasonable. to
Okay.
me.
Yeah. So let's do a little bit of framing here. You guys are right now sloshing through the sewers. There's a bit of a smell here. Merritt is rather used to it, right? And it's not so bad right here, so you're not getting it. Victor, though, is a little more uncomfortable as you have a very strong sense of smell, and there's a shitload of it down here. And you guys are walking through on your way to where these hot bods have been dumped.
Yeah, and I've got some plastic bags and gloves and a bit of paraphernalia with me to perform the extraction.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Merritt, funny thing about sewer, so many different smell. Like I can smell food and shit and blood and everything. Is it as unpleasant for you as me?
No, I'm probably nose blind to it at this point. I don't really think it registers so much.
Ooh, you must spend too much time down here, huh?
Yeah, it is my job, so I'm kind of have to spend time down here. Why do you want to help out Muhammad?
Surely he'll pay me. You think it's a bad idea?
I don't know if he has that much money, to be honest, but do what you will.
Well, then
Well,
maybe
no,
he
he's-
owes me a favor.
Maybe. Might be good to have a magician in your pocket. That's for sure.
That's what I think. Can't beat them, join them.
Hey, what do you know about what's going on in the new, in the mayor's office? You heard anything?
Well, I've heard that people on my side of things are not too pleased, me included.
I guess I kind of just figured they were all in bed together.
Not this time. I honestly don't understand how such victory occurred.
Yeah, well... It's not for me to question this kind of thing, it just... part of how the city works.
I suppose.
Anyway, it should be right over down here.
Yeah, and you kind of turn around, and indeed, there is the newest body dump of that has been brought here. And I don't know that Victor knows this necessarily, but it was brought here by his boss. So, as you kind of step up, this person, rather broken, right? And a few days dead, definitely has that smell to it, Victor. And also kind of, right, like dumped so that one of the legs is kind of twisted back, the arms sprawled out. Very unceremoniously dumped here. At this point, all the kind of water that has gone through these sewers has made the body start to bloat at least a little bit, but also washed away much of the pools of blood that must have been around it. It's a young girl, probably in her early 20s, if that. And as you look her over, it looks like she might have been a college student around here, something like that.
This is not typical type of body I expect to see. What the hell did she do to cross us?
Oh, with those wise guys, maybe she just ate the wrong cannoli.
Absolutely. And I'll strap on some rubber gloves. You sure you want to watch this part?
That doesn't really bother me.
I guess you've seen worse. And I'll pull out the switchblade and flick it open and start extracting.
Okay. Victor. So as the wolf, right? The wolf does some cool things where you get to pick some like good, quote unquote, good things for your character and some difficulties for your character, right?
Yeah, you talking about the transformation difficulties?
Yeah. What are some of those, right? What you
So
were
the
supposed
two
to...
I've got
Yeah.
for the transformations that silver weapons ignore my armor,
Okay.
and sometimes I lose control while transformed.
Okay. All right, perfect. But you're not transformed now.
Yeah,
Anyway,
not
so you are good to go. And you do, right? You kind of methodically cut, pull. There's the rending of flesh, the pulling it, pop of a bone, right? As eventually you extract from the mutilated body of, now much more mutilated, of this young woman, a rather sizable leg bone here, and wash it kind of in the mucky water that is over here, right? And at this point, there's just like exposed flesh kind of around, with just a small trickle of water starting to wash away some of it, although there wasn't too much blood flowing through this body for days past anyway. Looking at it, it's a big bone, but compared to the size of other people, right, she's rather petite, so you hope that this will do.
Did he say if he would want more than one?
I don't recall. I think he just said the one.
Well, this will have to do. And, Victor will kind of look somberly at this young woman, wondering again why such a seemingly not mixed up in this type of thing person would end up this way. I have to ask Giuseppe about this one, if he still remembers.
Yeah, he might know something.
Well, thanks for your guidance, shall we?
We shall, yeah.
And as you two turn and start walking away, right, femur bone in hand, we're gonna kind of head on over to Jasper for now. So Jasper, you have a lot of stuff going on, right? You have a lot of connections to the city you once lived in,
Yeah.
and now unlive in. And you have kind of this this mission that was given to you, right? To go to the library and get a certain book. About the most dangerous mission one could think of course. I think after the shaking of the earth, after this election happened, right? You kind of did your own thing, hung out back at your normal haunt of, kind of down by the docks. But now is a point where you've, leaving just to visit your sister, probably, with those occasional visits you have. But now is kind of the time you're feeling like stretching your ethereal legs a little bit more. But where do you head? What is kind of your priority?
I'm probably headed to the library. It's probably time to start doing that mission.
Okay. Just for the sake of the audio that I put on. It's the middle of the day, right? Like, you're standing in front of the tall stairway towards the Providence Public Library, right? You're downtown, kind of looking at it, and you know a couple different things. You know this part of the library that you're standing in front of as you're looking at it, this old building, is the private collection, right? This is the part that you know the book that you need is in. But there's also kind of like attached to this building on the side, the public part of this library that there's a whole bunch of people in and out of all the time. So you tell me what you think. How do you plan on getting in?
Well, I have that move that allows me to walk through walls.
Sure.
So I'm probably not going to manifest just yet. Just to get into the public area first.
The public area. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you kind of looking at the steps, kind of go over to the side, and without manifesting, right? But knowing that this is about the structure, the space in which your form, whatever it is, exists, right? You just slide right in through the wall of the public library. The part you're at, you go into, is very quiet, though not necessarily empty, right? There's a good amount of people sitting around. It's kind of like a private reading area. There's like little individual cubicles where people are, other like more comfy armchairs. Kind of off towards the front, you hear the reference desk, people talking, asking questions of the librarians. On the other side of that, a bit of ways off, would be the children's section, which would be a lot louder. But you're kind of right along. You know that following right where you are to the left of this wall is the section you need to get in. Though, and I think you know this, right? You guys have a pretty decent understanding. Most of these libraries, whether they're academic libraries at one of the universities, whether they're one of the public libraries, tends to be controlled by power. So they might have some safeguards in place. You're not 100% sure.
Can I scan the building or like case a joint, as my character would probably say? Make sure, see if there is any security from the public side that I can see.
Sure. Yeah. So I definitely think you can do that easily enough. I want you to roll with power, because I think this is investigating a place of power, right?
Yeah.
Although maybe not, because you're not really in the place of power yet, right? Like you're in kind of the public annex to this place. So you're not in the place of power yet. So let's.
Right. So it's only the private side that they're really controlling.
Yeah, because this is. I mean, it's a public library, right? There's people in and out all the time. So as you're going through, yep, definitely people reading, studying. Again, the children's section is super busy with kids being way too loud, and this librarian who probably liked kids when she got the job, but at this point, is probably gonna be like a child strangler or something if you were to look at her face. Looking around, there's several homeless individuals here to get warm and getting themselves out of the kind of bitter February cold. And more people that you see, here, looking up particularly bits of poetry, as Valentine's Day is just a couple days away, and they probably don't actually know any poetry, but they are trying to impress a dear one. Other than that, there's
these nerds trying to get laid.
Yeah, lots of fleur de mal, right? Lots of Baudelaire floating around here. And you see reference librarians, right, in different sections. You do not see anyone of power right? Both in the little p power and in the big P sense of that faction, right? So no quote unquote guards, right? Like this is a public place. They expect a bunch of people here. You do see that the heavy wooden doors that lead into that private section are closed.
Mm-hmm.
They are probably locked, but you don't have hands currently because you haven't manifested to check that out, and no one
Yeah.
else is trying those doors. But nothing actively there to stop you, to halt you from getting access.
Okay. All right, so I guess I'm gonna float my way over to the private section a little more, just to see if there are any securities or anything like that.
Okay, so here's what we've got. There's nothing you can see. That's for
Okay.
sure. I think, float your essence over to this big, thick, heavy wooden door, right?
Mhm.
And in order to really figure this out, unless you have something in your playbook, right, that might help. One suggestion I will make might be to let it out. And
Okay.
I imagine you could have some sort of, if you wanted to risk marking your first corruption, right? Letting out whatever powers are inside of you might be one way to kind of see through this veneer of normalcy to see what actually may be going on.
Yeah, that sounds good. Can I only use one corruption move? Because I had another idea.
What? Yeah, no. You go with whatever other idea you have. Yeah, what are you thinking?
Okay. Well, I was thinking I could use a corruption to possess one of the homeless people in the library.
Yeah, so this is what I mean. Like, I don't have your stuff in my head, but yeah, if you wanted to try and possess one of these several individuals, that could definitely work.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna corrupt one of these, or mark corruption, and enter the mind of one of these homeless people
Oh,
in the library.
you don't have those are the corruption moves.
Yeah.
You don't have those yet.
Okay. Okay. Then
So,
I'm gonna go with your suggestion. Probably let it out then.
okay. Yeah, so the corruption moves, when you fill up your corruption, how many marks are in corruption? Can you do, guys?
Looks like 5.
So once
Yeah,
you
5.
mark 5 corruption, then you can take a corruption move.
Okay.
Right? So with corruption, the first 3 times you mark corruption, you take a corruption move. The 4th time, you can take a corruption move from another archetype. But the 5th time, you are forced to retire your character, and then I get them, and I can make them return as a threat. So
Okay.
that's kind of how... So corruption can make you super fucking powerful, but if you don't pace yourself, then your super fucking powerful character can become a threat to the narrative, and you just restart with a new character.
Okay. Then yeah, I'm gonna let it out. I'll save those for later.
Okay. So let me see. In order to let it out, when you let out the power within you, roll with spirit.
Okay. Where's my spirit? So that's +2, so an 8.
An 8. Okay, so an 8 is a soft hit.
Okay.
So on a hit, you're going to mark corruption. So mark your corruption. And you're going to choose one from the list. So you can take +1 forward on your next roll, which means you get a +1 to whatever your next roll is. Extend your senses, supernatural or otherwise, which kind of sounds like what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You can also frighten, intimidate, or impress your opposition, which your opposition is a door. Or you can take definite hold of something vulnerable or exposed. So I think what you're trying to extend your senses, supernatural or otherwise.
Yeah.
What does that look like when Jasper extends his senses here?
Nothing visible to the human eye or the mortal eye, at least. But it's kind of it's kind of like a spidey sense almost. It looks
Yeah.
like that in the background of my head. But I can just stretch my abilities out and kind of I guess sense if anything that I need to know is around.
Yeah, and you do. And as you let out just this little bit of your power from within, right?
Mhm.
And feeling that force that binds you together and binds you still to this world, just loosen a little bit. Um, Imagine just dropping a single drop of water onto an entirely still body of water and the ripples coming out, right? Except this is vertical. That drop of
Okay.
water is your power, and then the reverberation is this um, force field of some sort, right? This protective force around this door and around this entire part, right? Those in power definitely know that there are dead motherfuckers floating around this city. Uh, and they do not necessarily want someone in there, right? Getting in there unnoticed. But I would say you do realize, I think, that um, while you cannot float through the door, there may be simpler means in, because this door does seem to be unlocked, as if, uh, and and you're kind of noticing all of this kind of with your third eye open, um, so to speak, and it's almost as if they are so prepared for supernatural attacks that they are just not prepared for someone to open the fucking door.
Okay. Um. Uh, so now can I use my corruption mark now that I have one since I unleashed possess? Because that seems.
So you need to get 5 corruption, and then
Oh,
you
okay.
take that as a move. So you get that move
Okay.
go. The corruption moves are things you get for your character going forward.
Got it.
But you need to get them.
So so if I manifest, I could probably just like open the door in that case and just walk through.
You think you probably could?
Okay. So I'm gonna do sound and touch and
Sure.
no sight.
Yeah. So you take a minute, concentrate, manifest an invisible man your way into this place, right?
Yeah.
Opening the door rather silently for a big ass, heavy, old wooden door. Slip your way through and close it behind you when no one is looking. And you
Yeah,
find
whatever. What's a mistake?
and you find yourself in a much more dimly lit, right? As if they're just not worried about brightening this place too much because it's just not being used. As you look around, from this door over to the right, there's almost like a double stairway that leads down to just an open area with no books in it, seemingly, with just a railing all the way around it. Across the way, though, you're fairly sure you do see, with the door cracked open, a reading room, right, with certain books in it, but then really mostly large open tables. Just the perimeter around has books. But that's the only place you see books so far. There also does seem to be an upstairs to this place, so wherever you want to go to check things out.
All right. Is all the reference material back in the public section of the library, or do I have that number I'm supposed to look up?
Yeah, and you take out your spectral post-it note or whatever it is that you have it on, and yeah. So most of the reference material you think is still back, at the normal references. Although there might be something here if you look around. You're not totally sure.
Okay. I'm gonna go upstairs for now. Well, in the private sector.
Okay. Yeah, you go up this very fancy looking stairway, right? Like almost like gilded with gold. Um, as it looks almost like a fancy hotel as you are going upstairs. You kind of look to the side, and a lot of doors are open. A lot of the doors are closed. One is open over towards your left, and as you look in, there's this like beautiful fireplace, right? And pictures of like Autobahn style pictures of birds on the wall. Like
Okay.
very well done sketches. And again, a few small bookshelves. This looks more like a sitting room than it does an actual library.
Okay. Can I tell if there's anyone behind any of the doors?
At this point, let's roll to investigate a place of power.
Okay. 2d6. Do I add anything to that, or is just a 2d6?
You're gonna roll with the faction, so you're gonna roll with power, whatever your
Okay.
power modifier is.
So 10 plus 1, so 11.
Nice. That's a hard hit.
Cool.
On a hit, you see below the surface to the reality underneath. On a 10 plus, which you've gotten, you can ask the MC one question about the schemes and politics of the faction in question. Okay, so I'll say a couple things. This is, as you can tell, though you imagine probably not the only, but definitely a major place of power for this faction, right? This seems to be, as you're looking, because again, the things you just know about this faction already, right? Their positions of power within the city is largely public libraries, but then also the research universities around, right?
Okay.
Providence College, Brown University, Rhode Island College, right? They kind of have their hold in all of those. This is probably the major place of power for the public library wizards,
Okay.
if that makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
And there doesn't seem to be people around right now. As you kind of like open doors, look through, creep around, there do not seem to be people, at least up here, although downstairs there might be.
Okay.
And I think, well, let's put it this way. You rolled real, like, I think you find the book, but I'm going to let you ask your question about the faction first before, yeah.
Right. I know this book's supposed to be highly guarded, right? It's supposed to be like locked up.
You're not sure how highly guarded it is. You just knew that it was in like the guarded section of but there's a lot of books here. You know, you don't know if that's the like number one Uber book or it's just a book in this section.
Okay. Do I know where, or I guess that would be my question is, where does the faction usually keep their rare items? Like, would we know, like they'd have a vault, or they're more kind of loose with their measures?
Okay. Yeah, so you the Power faction is known for taking the long view of things, right? They see the big picture and are willing to be patient, right? But I would say, just based on what you've seen here, that can sometimes mean they miss the trees for the forest, right? Like forgetting to lock the fucking door even though they put up magical barriers.
Right.
So the thought, but as you walk around, you see what are probably items of power. Like, almost like once you get into the place of power, they're assuming no one's going to get in. So you see in one of these rooms as you open it, what appears to be a crystal ball, right, on this very fancy, like, clawed stand in the middle of the room, right, and like swirling misty clouds moving through it, right, like almost as if someone had just been casting a spell using this, and then just walked away, right? You see a sword on the wall that, after you have let it out and you still have your thing, right, just ripples with magical energy, though in what sense you're not 100% sure, right? So it's almost like once you enter these places of power, you things are more or less at the ready to take. Now, you don't
Okay.
know if you'd be able to take it and get out with it. That might be, again, another problem. But there's
Right.
shit kind of laying around all over the place in what they assume to be their safe haven. You, in that little sitting room, looking at it, in fact, do find that book. You find it on this little end table next to this grandfather clock, and as you look at the number and look at the book, Jasper, it's a history of clocks. No. It is not a manual on how clocks work. It is a history of famous clocks throughout time.
Okay. I kind of pick it up and I'm just kind of looking it over. It's, what would some guy in the sewers want with this? Like, ugh, fancy Neds. I mean, I guess everyone's got that thing. Okay, how am I gonna get this thing out of here? Do I see, like, nothing happens when I pick up the book?
No, you pick it up, you kind of like leaf through it. It is a dense fucking book about clocks.
Okay. I kind of just shuffle it into my jacket for safekeeping for now. Um, I'm gonna go over to the sword again.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I sense if the magic is? I can't sense what's wrong with magic. That's right.
Yeah, and that, I really like the idea of just you seeing ripples, right? And this thing, it's like, I don't know, from those Skittles commercials when they're laying on like the speaker that's going. It's like there's a lot happening around it.
Okay. I'm gonna grab the sword, see if I can pull it off the wall, just because I'm intrigued by this thing.
Yeah, heavier than you would have thought. Like, motherfuckers in the Middle Ages swung these things around at each other. Like, your arms would get tired. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, you pull it off the wall.
Okay. I'm just gonna. Oh, this is kind of nice. It's nice and shiny. You know what? I'm gonna take this. Worst comes to worst, if someone stops me on the way out, I can hit him with it.
All right. Yeah, you.
So yeah, I'm gonna take that in the book and start heading out.
Yeah, you start walking down that kind of like curved stairway, and as you do, you hear someone off to the side, right? Kind of walking up from that like lower courtyard. You can tell, and they're a ways off, but they're coming up to the level you're at. Where you are, you're right near that initial door you were at from the sidewalk, right? This
Right.
big, huge, I mean, right, like 12-foot tall, heavy wooden door that you know leads directly out into the streets of downtown.
Okay.
And you haven't tried this door, but you do know you'd have to walk in the direction of this other individual to get back to the public part of the library. I will also tell you, as that book, which in itself does not seem to be a magical item, right, went into your coat, it also became invisible, just as you are. However, that sword is a floating fucking sword you're carrying around right now. What will you do?
Can I go back and duck into one of those rooms, see if he's gonna pass me?
Yeah, you kind of go over to the side and duck into that like little reading room that had the door open.
Mhm.
And as you do, this guy kind of I'm gonna hard frame this a little bit. He's walking in towards the room that you're in.
Oh no.
Just your fucking luck.
Okay. Is there anything in the room I could like hide the sword behind? Because I don't need to hide behind a couch, but like I could just hold it behind a lamppost or something.
Sure, yeah, kind of behind the door, right? That's open. You kind of like put it behind the door and kind of lean it up against there as this guy walks in and kind of walks over to one of the big windows, like looks out onto the street for a while, and then starts going over some of these lower bookshelves as he's looking for a specific book down there.
Okay, so he's got his back turned to me right
His
now,
back's
right?
towards you.
Okay. And he opened the window.
Uh, yeah, it's no, actually, it's like February. I think
Oh,
the
okay,
window's
yeah,
closed. It's
probably
really
cool.
fucking cold. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
In that case, can I use the sword to knock him out? Just kind of clock him on the head. I don't want to kill him. Just.
Yeah. So I think this is well, you let me know if you're not really trying to fucking do harm to someone, right?
Right.
It might not be unleash an attack. You might not be unleashing an attack. You might be escaping the situation, mislead, you're not trying to distract him, really. You're trying to knock him out. So I think you're
Yeah.
trying to escape a situation by doing this. So why don't you roll with blood?
Okay. All right. Plus
Ooh.
1, so I got a 6.
I love it. That's a miss, bro.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. You know what it is? So it's not really escape a situation, because so here's the kind of nitty gritty of this game a little bit. In order to escape a situation, you have to take advantage of an opening. What you're trying to do right now is to create an opening.
Mm-hmm. I guess maybe under distract or trick.
Yeah, so let's change that, and I'm not doing it because I love low rolls, but one of the options for mislead, distract, or trick is to create an opportunity. So why don't we have you roll with mind instead?
Okay.
I think
so,
that's closer to what we're doing.
Okay, so that's -1. So I get it's 4.
That's even better. Oh, okay. So when you try to roll with mind on a hit, they're fooled, at least for the moment. On a 10 plus, pick 3. On 7, 9. Okay, so you just do not do any of these things, and it doesn't work out for you. You go to lift the sword. That shit's heavy, man. And as you like scrape it against the ground, he turns around. This super skinny, big, glassed guy, as he's like watches this sword goes up and goes, "What the hell?" And as you go to like hit it, he just kind of steps out of the way. You trip a little, and he reaches out and grabs the sword. So at this point, you are both holding on to this super ornate, like jeweled gold sword. As he's just like pulling with you, he's like, "Just that doesn't belong to you."
I'm gonna say quiet because maybe he just thinks it's an enchanted sword or something. Is he aware that the ghost is holding it, or?
He seems to think that someone's holding it.
Oh, okay. In that case, can I just try to escape?
Yeah, well, you need an opening, and that's the thing. You need an opening to get, because once you pass with escape a situation, you're out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you need to take advantage of some sort of opening.
Okay.
So, I mean, I will say, if you're willing to leave the sword, just as he's yanking, just letting go of the sword, like,
Yeah,
I think
no,
that alone creates an opening. Yeah, so he kind of like falls over. Whoa! Again, the weight of this thing taking him back as he topples ass over tea kettle. Roll to escape a situation.
Okay. And escape is +1, so I got a 9.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, you're going to choose 2. You can suffer harm during your escape. You can end up in another dangerous situation. You leave something important behind. You owe someone a debt for your escape. Or you give in to your base nature and mark corruption. You have to choose 2 of those. And if you have the basic moves in front of you, guys, there's the
Yeah.
I'm just reading off of that.
That's a good question.
You kind of already left something important behind, right?
Right. I was thinking I could add sword to leave that behind.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out the other one. Escape situation. Um. I'm gonna give into my base nature and mark corruption.
Okay. Yeah, mark a second corruption. And what I think, my take on that, what it looks like is like you've already marked, right? You've already opened yourself up to that dark piece inside of you. You
Yeah.
open yourself up further. And you go right through the window. And there's a magical barrier, and you fucking smash it. And in your ears, although it doesn't actually. No, you know what? I think it does actually occur. Fuck that. You go through the window, and the window itself, the physical shattering of the window perfectly matches the magical shattering of the barrier that stopped it as you make your way out.
Okay.
So yeah, you've marked your second corruption. That was a little bit of a longer mission than other people's, but some good fucking shit with that, huh? Okay. Let's do something else. Let's go to. I'm gonna ask Yvette kind of what she would do after the last interaction you had, right? Like how would you act upon that? And then I think we can go to probably an event might be part of this, but it really depends on what you decide you want to do. But I could see a Merit Victor Jasper scene where people are bringing their gains to Muhammad, right? But let's go to Yvette first to find out what Yvette wants to do.
At this point, what time of the day or night would you say it is?
You tell me. So again, here's a little bit behind the scenes of how you MC this game, right? Sometimes I'm hard framing things, like there are two cops walking towards you. What do you do? And sometimes it's a little bit softer, and I'm definitely. And right now, I'm not even gonna frame something, right? I'll let you kind of frame it, because I'm very open right now to like, what is Yvette doing? Where are you focused on? What are you thinking? What do you want to do?
So I guess you guys haven't seen me in my night job yet. So I would say that that's where I am.
Yeah.
Night job.
Yep.
And is this in a different location than your day job, or is it literally like underground below your day job?
Well, I had kind of decided that it was in the same neighborhood, but not in my shop, so that if shit went down, it wouldn't damage my store or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like a pit boss for an underground gambling ring.
So that's where you are, right? And whereas I think the rest of the city, definitely at least the underworld supernatural part of the city has laid low the past couple months, you've been fucking busy, Yvette. Because while these people kind of aren't out doing too much stuff, they can still gamble. So it has been chock full, shoulder to shoulder, multiple tables going, and today is no different, right? It's whereas outside there aren't too many people on the street, right? Because they're all it's too cold to be out there. Here there is that like sickening, stinky, sweaty, too many bodies in a room feeling, right? And you're constantly like pulling on your collar to try to get some air in this room where there's just too many people breathing. And it is loud, and there are lots of people around, and they are asking a lot of you. What exactly is Yvette doing here? Are you like running drinks? Are you managing, making sure the tables are going okay, making sure no one's cheating?
Yeah, I'm typically watching for the cheaters, but also I tend to I tend to gravitate towards the blackjack table, just because that's kind of my area.
Okay. Yeah.
But I do walk the place a few times a night.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So you're the dinero in casino here. You're
Yep.
like, I want equal amounts of blueberries in all the muffins. Yeah. Um. All right. Yeah. So you're heading over, busy as hell, right? And not only busy, but there are a lot of people, and they're not all super happy. Uh, your people in particular, right? Don't love the fact that Buddy won, this human won the mayoral seat, right? Uh, and in the house today, over by the blackjack table, I think in fact is one of the city councilmen. Not the one you know terribly well, right? One of the lower city councilmen, but still, right? People give deference to that. That does mean something here in the city. And he's losing bad and is fucking pissed about it. So I think you're kind of hovering around that table as you hear this guy just screaming at the dealer. What the fuck is this?
I'm gonna go grab him a drink,
Okay.
and I'm gonna come back over, and I'm gonna kind of lean in when I give him his drink.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing so well tonight, huh?
Me! Oh, thank you. As you hear the clink of the ice inside the glass. Me! I'm doing fine. Your fucking guy here doesn't know how to shuffle.
I'll do it. And
Yeah.
I kind of shoo the dealer away for a second.
Kind of steps
I'll
away.
I'll shuffle up the deck.
All right.
12.
Hit me.
Flip a card. 17.
He looks at you. And the eyes narrow. Now that's not the number I was hoping it was gonna be.
No, of course not. But Lady Luck, she's not your friend tonight, huh?
I don't deal in luck, Montoya. I deal in certainty.
Is that how you got to where you are? Such a powerful man.
Montoya, I'm gonna tell you to do something. And when I do, I expect you to do it right.
Sure.
Hit me.
22.
And his eyes never leave yours. He says, whatever country you're from, they must not teach math too good. Count it again.
21.
Imagine that. And kind of like sits up and just down. Like the drink you gave him, right? That's the kind of drink you're supposed to nurse for an hour, and he just fucking downs it. No ice next time.
I'll push the
I
chips
like it
towards
neat. Okay.
him, and I'll give the cards back to the dealer.
Yeah. And as you kind of do, and the dealer kind of takes over and kind of nods, kind of getting how the rest of the night needs to go, right? You do hear a voice in the back of your head, and it says, "You're there to make me money, not to kiss ass."
I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you.
Why is he there anyway? Find out.
Tough to say. I'll find out.
One of his other men is doing quite well at the poker table. Perhaps you'd want to congratulate him.
As you wish. I'll go get another drink.
Mhm.
And I'll tell the bartender to make it a double.
Okay.
And I'll walk it over to the other guy.
Now you know the guy at the blackjack table, right? You know he's a hothead, and you know he's part of the city council. This motherfucker, you would think is mayor of the world by the way he's acting. Just yelling, "Oh yeah, you all! That's right. Give me your chips. Give me your chips. Give me your kids' college tuition while you're at it. Throw it right in. Yeah, you? Yeah, your retirement, Grandpa. That's it. Put it right in the pot. I'm taking you all."
I'll walk over and I'll set the drink down.
Huh.
That's a big mountain of chips you have there.
Enough to pay for my own drinks, but not saying I don't appreciate a freebie every once in a while.
This one's on the house.
Much obliged, much obliged. And he takes a sip, and you see that face that he's trying not to act like it's too strong a drink for him, but he's giving a, "It's good, it's good." Yeah.
I'm gonna try and do like a quick scan of his chips to try and see kind of quickly how much money he's got and what we're losing right now.
Yeah,
Walk
so
out of here.
because this is a poker table, right? You're actually not losing any money. It's the other motherfuckers at the table that are, right? And they're kind of a mixed bag, right? A low-level enforcer for the mob, you recognize, right? Some local businessmen that aren't too against having some shady dealings. No big-named people, including this dude, that are there, right? But everyone else is exacerbated, not just by this guy winning their money, but by fucking rubbing it in the way he is, too.
Haven't seen you in here before.
Me? Oh, I was just promoted, if you know what I mean.
Well, I know what promoted means, so sure, I suppose. Congratulations.
No. I mean promoted. And as he says it, you see this little bit of a red flash and just the start of horns being peeked out of his head before they quickly recede back in.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, how fucking cool is that? You ever seen shit like that? How about you? How about you? As he's like hitting the arm of a werewolf who's like, "Dude, I've been doing this for years."
Well, like I said, felicidades to you.
You! Hey, ain't you, don't you work for one of them?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you were promoted too, I hear.
I own the Broken Pearl, the pawn shop up the street.
Broken Pearl. The hell you need a name like that for? All you gotta do is put up a sign that says pawn shop. Why you gotta name that shit?
Well, because anybody could just run a pawn shop.
But you run something a little more special, eh?
Something like that.
The name's Danny. Danny DeVuto.
Danny DeVuto.
Yep. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Interesting name you have. I feel like I've heard it somewhere, but I don't know, maybe not.
You know, you can, if you want, put a name to a face.
Put a name to a face. Does that figure someone out?
Nope, it is a faction move. So you are going to roll with with his faction, which is your faction, which is
Wild.
Wild. Yep, roll with wild.
Okay. I believe I get a plus to that too. But...
Damn. Yeah, let me know what your modifier, because if it's a -1, that'll be a soft hit, but 10 plus is a hard hit.
Well, my faction, I would roll. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
On
your,
your character sheet, it's right next to your faction number. You've got like 1 or -1 or +2.
Yeah, it doesn't say, but
okay. Well, it's your faction, so you at least have, I think, a +1
yeah.
with them. So that's definitely a hard hit, right? So on a hit, you know their reputation. The GM tells you what most people know about them. On a 10 plus, you've dealt with them before. Learn something interesting and useful about them. Or they owe you a debt. I don't know that this guy is too interesting. He's going to owe you a debt. You gave him a drink. He's a little bit tipsy. He's earned a lot of money with you in charge tonight. So yeah, Danny DeVuto owes you a debt.
Okay.
Write that down. He says, yeah, thanks for this. Maybe I'll, I'll stop by the shop sometime. I might have some merchandise to unload on the DL.
That would be very helpful, thank you.
You know, things that are a little less than above board.
Sure.
The kind of stuff we wouldn't want the authorities to get their hands
Yeah,
on.
shh, I get it, yes. I understand.
All right. Appreciate it. All right.
Don't waste that alcohol, by the way.
Oh, this wouldn't waste the drop. Oh. And with that, let's quickly switch over to the sewers, my favorite place to be. So again, I think Victor and Merritt march their way through these winding tunnels back to this abandoned YMCA swimming pool where Muhammad has been staying with Merritt's help, right? Victor, I think, is probably pretty appreciative of Merritt going through all of these tunnels because there's while Merritt, it's like the back of their hand. Victor, you would have been lost fucking 20 turns ago and never found your way here.
Definitely feeling gratitude and expecting to split the proceeds, whatever they happen to be.
Yeah. And as you look over to the side and see, Merritt, more of your nightshade's gone.
Is Mo there?
Yeah, as you walk in, you see him pacing, kind of back and forth, kind of hello. Two visitors today. Welcome to my humble abode.
Nice place.
Here. Pretty good.
Yes. It's been some time. Victor, yes. Right, of course.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Good to see you. Now that
You as well.
thinking of it, I do tend to perhaps remember our last conversation. I believe there was a conversation of... Oh, I don't really remember what it was.
Had to do with a little errand you wanted me to perform.
Yes. Right. I wanted you to get me wasn't a hot dog. It was.
You don't remember?
Oh no, it was so long ago. But of course, if you went to all the trouble, I could take.
Yes, you had me collect a femur for you.
A
And I'll pull
femur!
out the bone from the plastic bag.
Yes, yes, I believe that had to do with a little something that I was working on. Yeah, could I see it? Do you have one with you? Not
I
yours,
have it
of
right
course.
here.
You would need those.
Yes, Mohammed, it's here in my hand. Take a look.
Let me see. Oh, yes. Takes it from you. A little on the small side, but... Ah! She drank her milk, didn't she, this one?
Hmm. You can tell she was girl.
Well, yes, can't you?
Not now I can.
Ah, you haven't spent as much time, I imagine, with the less dripping insides of the human anatomy. Well, this will do nicely, I'm sure. Of course, can't quite remember what to do with it. And with that, I think he looks up. Not because you see anything come floating in through the wall of this old business, but he feels something, being attuned to that power, right? As I think Jasper shows up at a very similar time.
What are you looking at? No.
Feels as if we're being visited by, I don't know, something.
Well, what about my payment?
Ah, yes, I'm unfortunately a little skint right now. I could owe you one.
Okay, you'll owe me one. But you have to tell me what you needed this for, and why you couldn't just get it yourself.
Well, it's not always easy to come by, you know. Spare bones when you're in hiding in a pool. But what I need it for, I know that it was necessary for incantation somehow, but I don't really remember what it is.
I'd like to roll to figure someone out
Sure.
here. I don't know what Mo's hiding, but I know him long enough to know he's doing some shady shit right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Roll with mind. And Jasper, I would say you're here. You're not manifest yet, but you are here in this room as well.
And I have 1 for mind, I think, so that'd be 9 total.
That'd be a 9. That's going to be a soft hit. So you're figuring something out. Roll with mind. On a hit, hold 2. On a 7 to 9, they hold 1 on you as well. So you have 2 holds, right? And you can spend them at any point during this scene to do one of these things on the list. You can figure out who's pulling the character's strings. You can figure out what's your character's beef with someone. What's your character hoping to get from something. How could you get your character to do something? What does your character worry might happen? And how could I put your character in my debt? So you have 2 holds that you can spend whenever. But Muhammad also has a hold on you. So he can ask you one of those things as well, and you gotta answer.
Sure. Yeah, well, I don't know what kind of rituals you're doing down here, Mo, but I think we had that conversation about my plants.
Oh, yes, of course. You're so very good at growing things here in the dark that they're just so beautiful. I can't help myself but pluck one every once in a while. You understand, I'm sure, not much beauty in the world when you're surrounded by these concrete walls.
Yeah. What do you want to do with that bone?
Okay. Jasper, are you there to wanna like manifest too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll show up with sight. Actually, sorry, sound and touch.
Sound and touch. Okay. So again, invisible.
Yeah.
But your presence is felt as all of a sudden it feels Victor and Merritt as if there's someone else in the room there with you. As he says,
Hmm.
"Well, I hope to cast a spell, of course. Although, do you feel something?"
Well, how's it going, guys? I hope you weren't gonna do something without me. You know I like to be
Oh.
here for the festivities.
Jasper.
Yeah, it's me. You know, I know you guys can't see me, but I'd have no way to get you the book otherwise.
The book? Which book is that?
It's not quite what I was expecting, but it's the reference number you gave me. It's a history of clocks.
You see his eyes light up.
Okay.
Oh!
No, this seems to be the right one.
You were able to retrieve it then?
Yeah, with no easy means, but yeah, I got it here.
May I see it?
Well, I don't know if I should just hand it over with willy nilly. I mean, don't I get something in return for this?
I feel like everyone's trying to call in debts to a poor beggar man here in the basement of this old building. I could owe you one.
You get that you asked them to do something for you, right?
Yes, and they've done it, and now I owe them one in return.
So Mo, you don't have anything to offer right now. They have the leverage. You gotta make it worth their while. That's how it works.
Yeah,
This is
I'm
how.
not gonna argue with him. I'd rather have something in my hand than something in the future.
Something in your hand. Well, the only thing I have is... He holds up the femur. But I need this. I could do something for you. Is there something you need done?
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to take the favor, cause let's face it, my soup cooking days are a bit over.
Of course. Yes, I will owe you one, of course.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah, and do you hand over the book?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
he
am.
takes it and says, perfect. He kind of like puts this bone under his arm as he starts leafing through it. He says, this book explains the historical ins and outs of some of the more famous clocks in American history, right? I mean, it goes into some foreign clocks, Big Ben, but here, as he gets to the page, here we have something much closer.
Fascinating. What the hell are you talking about? Closer to what?
How do the three of you feel about taking some power from the city?
Now we're talking.
Yeah, I can get into that.
I think with the four of us, we may be able to... And he kind of looks around at the room he's in and said, up our standings just a little bit.
What do you have in mind?
I want control of the timepieces across the city. And I think we can get it. And with that, I think we'll pick it up right there
Ooh.
next session.
Oh, it's all coming together.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not letting him off the hook, though. We're finding out what that bone was for.
And did you want... You know what? Before we really end... Merritt, you have 2 holds on figuring someone out that I want to give you a chance to spend.
I can't just do it next time, or
You can, yeah. I don't want you to forget. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to really remember that
I'll
you
remember.
have them. Okay, perfect. And I know it's the bi-weekly thing, so God help any of us remember what's happening. Cool shit, everybody.
There are end of session moves as well.
There are end of session moves. Yes. Let's. Well, first of all, we all have some factions to mark, right? We've all done shit with other factions. So I'm just going what I see on my screen when I look at you guys left to right. Like Jasper, you sure as fuck can mark power, right? Because everything you did was with power. Do you have any? You're muted, I think. Do you have any other factions that you think you'd mark?
Not for this section. I mostly just kind of gave myself away to the power faction.
Yeah.
So is this in the session end, what we're doing right now?
I believe so.
It says increase your score in a faction by 1, decrease your score in a different faction by 1.
Yeah, so, if you, yeah, you can, so, sorry, I'm just talking. So you definitely want to also mark any factions that you've interacted with throughout the session, right? You can do that as you're going, like, as you interact with them, but then I think it behooves us at the end of the session to really, like, think about, oh, wait, shit, yeah, like, I want to make sure that I mark these factions as I go. So you can also, if you feel as if you're moving closer to another faction, you can...
So the marking and increasing is different. Increasing your score in a faction is different than marking it.
Yes. So you have to, if you interact, it can be positively, it can be negatively, whatever. You need to be able to mark all 4 factions, and that's how you level up, right? That's how you get it.
That does not only happen at the beginning of session, that happens other times as well.
It's whenever you interact with them, correct. So the beginning of the session move is almost like a freebie, right?
Okay.
But then throughout the session, as you interact with them, you can mark that faction.
So I guess I'll mark power because I just did a quest for Muhammad for power.
Yeah, you completed a quest for someone in power, so definitely mark power.
Nice.
Danny DeVuto would have been in the Knight faction?
He would have been
Wild?
Knight. Yeah,
Okay.
no, he would have. No, you're right. He would have been Wild.
Wild, okay.
Because he's kind of the tainted, the same thing you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can mark Wild.
And then you add a point and then subtract a point from something else?
Yeah, so at the end of a session, at the end of every session, if you learned something meaningful about a faction, increase your score in that faction by 1, and decrease your score in a different faction by 1. Tell the MC how your relationship with those communities have changed. If someone did you a favor at a cost, tell the group. So if someone has done you a favor, which no one's really done you any favors, I don't think this session.
No.
It's more like the other way around, right? If you did someone a favor without redress, tell the group they owe you a debt. So I think like a couple of you guys did Muhammad a solid, and you got nothing out of it. So that's why you guys have a debt on Muhammad.
Did I do
now.
Victor a favor by getting those tunnels without request of payment?
I think you did.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, so I think Victor owes you a favor for that.
So that's 2 debts I owe Merit now. It's basically for the same thing, 2 times, just guidance through all the tunnels and staying out of sight.
Right. Although the first time was for a very specific moment and a very specific thing that happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say that I lost a point in power because my session with the Oracle didn't go very well.
Sure. And where do you think you gained it?
Probably in Wild.
Okay. Yes, and you can only get like as much as a +2 or a -2. So yeah, take 1 away from power and go 1 into Wild. That makes sense to me.
So I think for me it's +1 power, bringing me to 0.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what to subtract though. I'm not really sure because I guess mortality, because I owe Merit more, and I was disturbed by the non-typical body we found.
Yeah, and you literally fucking tore apart the body of like a very young human.
Yeah.
woman. So, yeah, I think -1 in mortality makes sense to me.
All right, so mortality and power is 0 now for me.
Okay. Yeah, so that is the end of session moves. We did the beginning of session moves. That's all the session moves. We made sure we... Does anyone else think they have a faction to mark? Like, Victor, what factions do you have marked right now?
So I've wild marked from the beginning of the session, but I guess also last week was a wild interaction for Victor, and then I marked power as well because I was doing a solid for Muhammad.
Perfect. Merit, what about you?
I had night marked in the beginning of the session, and I marked power mostly because of, more so in anticipation of the 2 holds I have on. I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask Mo.
Okay. And Yvette, you said already, right?
Yeah, I have power and wild. I had power at the beginning of the session.
Okay, perfect. I'm trying to make sure I'm not... Obviously, no one has advanced yet, although I could very well see us doing that, you know, after this. When you make a faction move... Oh. So it says here, keep whatever factions you have marked, but remember this going forward. You're only supposed to mark a faction at the beginning of the session, right? Or when you make a faction move.
Okay, so we're not marking a second faction then, correct?
So
Yeah,
Jasper can, because he investigated a place of power for power, and that's a faction move, so he can mark that.
Okay.
I would say that Victor can, because he didn't cash in a debt or honor a debt, but I think like finishing a quest falls kind of under that. So I would still mark power for Victor as well, because it's make a faction move, trigger an intimacy move, which, remember, each of your archetypes has an intimacy move.
mm-hmm.
Or yeah, yep. And then once you marked all 4, you erase them and you advance. So that's what you're looking to do to get that advancement. You're looking to use a faction move. Oh, who put a name to a face? Yvette did too.
Yeah.
So you put a name to a face, which is a faction move. So
Danny DeVuto.
yep. So make sure you have that. Merritt, you kind of hung out in the sewers.
Well, I didn't really play that much tonight,
Yeah.
so that's all right.
Does he get something for night since he helped me again?
I'm good. I don't need to take anything. I have night marked already.
Well, he got he got a debt from you. When he
Yeah, he got a
cashes
debt.
in that debt, he'll mark a faction. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If he cashes in a debt from you, that's where Merit would get. If they cash in a debt for you, that's where they would mark that faction. So cashing in a debt or honoring a debt that you owe someone else.
Gotcha.
Just real quick, I
Yeah.
obviously take 1 away from power for my interactions with them, but I wasn't sure who I should add to because I really didn't interact with anyone else. Except for Muhammad, who's also in the power faction technically because he's a wizard.
Right. It's up to you. You can... I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll add 1 to my faction in night because I feel like that's probably just a good idea.
Yeah. Closing in on yourself a little bit more. That makes sense.
Yeah. All right. That's all I had.
All right. I think that's all the things, guys. And next time we play, it's not going to take us half an hour to do the intro to the session, because we're going to be we'll actually know what to do,
Yes.
and we'll be good. Like, you know, this end of session move takes about as long, right? And it took us 7 minutes instead of like 30. So, you know, we'll get will get quicker. I know we don't play for a huge amount of time, so I think getting into more scenes and having more action unfold will be good too. And the more and more scenes, like I also think it makes sense to have scenes with one person, right? But as our stories kind of start to intertwine more and more too, having more and more scenes where it's not always one player character alone, right? Is just going to add, again, more playtime for everyone and get that going too. Cool.
Yeah, we got to get Yvette looped into our clock turning back quest.
Yeah, well, yeah. You guys are working on clocks, and Yvette was told by a dangerous oracle that she needs to go back, right?
Yes.
So I imagine overlap might be happening sooner than later.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate everyone watching. We're getting follows. We're getting subs. You all are wonderful. 2 weeks from today, which is
The 19th.
the 19th. You got it quicker than me. We will be playing again.
Which is good because we will go over Thanksgiving. We'll jump over
We miss it.
Thanksgiving and play the following week, so that's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh, Thanksgiving's early this year, huh?
it is. Yeah, we skip over next week, which is, well, the Wednesday's the holiday, but a week with a holiday, and then we skip over Thanksgiving. Our trajectory is really good. See you all
Nice.
next week. We'll take a trip to Providence, Rhode Island, to scenic 1975 Providence, Rhode Island. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.
Thanks,
Later,
guys.
guys.
Thank you. Good night.